Well, hello everybody and welcome to our Friday live stream. It's definitely beginning to look a lot like Christmas around here today, I have to say. So for those of you who haven't watched us before, or haven't met us before, my name is Debbie. I tend to do this side of the camera, the decorating, the demonstrating I would probably say, and my colleague Laura does all the technical stuff, which is by far the best way, isn't it, Laura?
Absolutely.
So you won't see Laura, but you will hear her. Okay. So today we're going to create a fantastic Christmas wreath. It's that time of the year. So basically you can put this on your door, or if you wanted to do a slightly lower scaled one, you could pop it onto a grave in remembrance of somebody if you want to. Basically today is going to be an online wreath workshop, but we haven't got the mince pies, we haven't got the mulled wine or the music to keep us going, but we have got our fantastic audience, so thank you for joining us. I'm going to start with a pre-mossed ring that I've actually mossed up. So do go on to our how-to guides on our YouTube channel because we follow each step of mossing up on there. So if you want any tips and hints, then do please go there to have a look. But you could buy a pre-mossed one that we sell online. And you can use either a flat-based, if you're mossing yourself, you can use either a flat-based frame or the raised one like this. I actually used a 16-inch one here today, so quite a large wreath, so it's going to give you something quite substantial. You're going to need a decent door to hang that one on. I'm just going to pop these down. So my ingredients today are the natural English moss, which I've actually used to moss this frame up with. This is actually a raised frame. You could use the flat or the raised, as I've said, or you could always, as I say, use the ready-made ones. This I've actually mossed with using twine rather than wire, but that's a personal choice. It really doesn't make any difference. The foliage I've used today is Conifer, blue spruce and Eucalyptus Cinerea. And for my little accessories, I've got some Gossypium, which is the lovely cotton. We think that looks like a snowball, don't we?
We do.
So it's actually very tactile, very touchy-feely. I've got some snowed, I don't know if snowed is the right word to use. I've got cones here that I've sprayed with spray snow. Some little pieces of cinnamon that I've joined together, covered with raffia and then wired. I've got some little gold berries here, and also these are the two tins that I've used of snow, and also I have got a glitter out if you want to sparkle some bits up. So also have my secateurs and scissors and my usual workbox, which has got some stub wires and obviously my twine. I think I've included everything. Have I missed anything?
You have, Debbie.
I think I've got everything there. Right, okay. So we'll make a start. Usually what I do is I cut the foliage up into little usable pieces, which I was starting to do before we went live. So just to show you what I mean by that. Now you can actually, if you're making quite a substantial amount of wreaths, which I'm sure you all are out there, because the moss is going out of our door like hot cakes, isn't it, Laura? It's really popular at the moment. So yeah, so if you are making a lot of wreaths, you're almost better off, in my opinion, to buy the bundles. The thing with those is you don't get any wastage. You can see what I'm doing here by cutting all the small pieces off. Show you what I mean. Oop. Now, this is actually quite a difficult piece to use in a wreath. I'm going to use it today because I'm making quite a large wreath. But if you were making a smaller wreath, you would struggle to put that into it because it's not very pliable, not very malleable. And this piece is obviously going to be wasted, this stalk here. So if you buy the pre-cut pieces that are purely designed for wreath making, you'll find it's a lot more economic, more cost effective, and no waste. Okay, so let's get started.
So just whilst you're doing or cutting everything up, just to do a few shout outs for everyone that's watching. So we've got some fantastic people watching, so make sure you make yourself known and say hello. We've got Rachel who says hi all. We've got our lovely Jane who this time she's not on the bus, she's not on a break, and I think she's got a day off, so she sat on the sofa at home.
Oh, enjoy, lovely.
We've also got Julie Jones who says, morning ladies, hope you're all okay. Loved moss wreath, loved the smell of moss. We've got Lynn Lucy who says, hi, lovely ladies. Lanny who says, I never get to watch these lives. It's lovely to see it as it happens.
Oh, that's nice.
We've got Emma. We've got Lee. Lots of fantastic people watching. We've got Donna. Oh, we've got fantastic. We've got 54 people watching.
Good gracious.
I reckon it's that time of year.
I reckon they heard me mention mulled wine. Oh, thank you so much for joining us. And I can't remember who it was that Laura just mentioned, saying that the pine smells like Christmas. I have to say, I walked into our floristry room yesterday and the girls were making some wreaths up, and I have to say, it really did evoke memories of Christmases past. The moss and the pine, definitely that time of year. So it's amazing actually how fragrance really evokes memories. So yeah, if you're creating something this Christmas, make sure you put cinnamon sticks and orange slices and all those things that give you that lovely fragrance. It just kind of epitomises Christmas, doesn't it? That shared time with family and friends.
Absolutely.
So what I'm doing here, I don't know if you can actually see, I'm literally just binding the foliage on. You have to pull it quite nice and tight. And what I'm doing is I'm going to bring different varieties of foliage through as well. So tucking that in to the string and that side as well.
Yes, Lainey. So we are actually using twine, so yes, garden string on this occasion as opposed to the binding wire. Debbie, is there any benefits to using twine as opposed to the wire? Is there a preference?
It's all down to personal choice, really. I actually had this discussion with one of our florists yesterday because she said to me, oh, I noticed you're using the twine. Why do you do that rather than the wire? I actually find I prefer the twine. The reason why, it's purely self-preservation here, is I tend to pull very tightly against my hands when I'm binding. And sometimes I find the wire does actually cut my finger a little bit. As you can see, I have war wounds from the mossing yesterday. So I actually prefer to use the twine because I find it slightly less aggressive on the hands, especially if you're making hundreds of them. But there is literally no benefit. I mean, I could say that actually the twine is more eco-friendly, and yes it is, but the rest of the frame isn't. The moss is, but you've got a wire frame there which is not eco-friendly. It won't decompose. So what you lose on one thing, you kind of gain on another. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So in a short answer to your question, it's just personal choice. There's really no benefit either way.
We've got another question from Emma. She says, I'm wanting to make something to put on my door to last between December to January. Will the wreath that you're making last? And where would you store it if so?
Potentially this should be absolutely fine. The only thing I would say to you is you do need to keep this, whoops, nearly lost my string then. You do need to keep the moss ring wet. So what I would probably say is occasionally, every sort of 5 days maybe, take the wreath off the front door, place it on the patio and just chuck a bucket of water over it so you can have a good drink. And then when it's finished dripping, pop it back onto your door again. Otherwise you can just get a water bottle and spray it, keep misting it. But yeah, you do need to keep it wet because that's what the foliage is going to drink from. Now, you're better off sticking to what I would call evergreen foliages. So your conifer, ivy, holly, spruce, all those kind of evergreens, because they actually will be quite happily long living on a moss ring. Eucalyptus, not so much so. Eucalyptus is not entirely happy when it's out of water for any period of time. So I probably would avoid the eucalyptus if you're going to keep the arrangement on your front door for a long period of time. A couple of weeks would be absolutely fine, but if you're intending to keep it there longer than that, I'd probably avoid the euc. Having said that, we have some beautiful preserved eucalyptus, don't we, Laura? That would work well.
Absolutely.
You could put that in. That would survive quite happily.
And now all the dried things are actually becoming really popular. So you could, in fact, incorporate, I was going to say pampas in there, but you could incorporate lots of different grasses and things like that that are dried, that will last long periods of time.
You could actually use pampas grass. And what's that really fluffy grass that we've seen recently? That's beautiful. That would look gorgeous in one of these wreaths.
It's called bunny tails, but I don't actually know the proper name of it.
That's so cool, bunny tails. I love it. I love it. Yeah, very, very appropriate for the festive season with the reindeers and the robins. And
so we've also, so just to extend on Emma's question, she said, would it last as long as such if you kept it in the house? I know obviously at Christmas time we've got the heating on, so it's slightly different to keeping it outdoors.
No, it's not going to last as long in the house because the ambient temperature is so much warmer. What you're going to find is it will dry out quite quickly. Again, you can do exactly the same principle as on the front door and keep the moss nice and wet and moist. But that's not quite so easy indoors because you don't really want any drippage on your best carpet or your nice furniture. So personally, I would probably use the preserved foliage really, rather than the fresh. Yeah, I mean you can wreath wrap the back, and again, if you like to go and have a look at our YouTube channel, I do actually show you how to wreath wrap a mossed wreath. The good thing about that is it kind of keeps in a little bit of the moisture. So it does retain a little bit of the water that you put on. So yeah, it's not going to last very well. I reckon you probably at the best get a week, 10 days out of it before it starts to look a little bit dried and crispy. It's the same principle really as having a garland over the top of your fireplace. It looks absolutely beautiful when it's first put on. But yeah, it's going to dry out quite quickly. So if you are putting it in the house, then I'd probably just install it a couple of 3 days before Christmas rather than a week or so before. Is that kind of one?
Because if you're anything like me, I've definitely got the heating on.
We certainly need it at the moment. My goodness me, I walked the dog the other morning, 3 degrees. What's that all about? It's all right for him. Got a double fur coat.
Absolutely.
Oh dear. Right, so I'm just trimming some more pieces of foliage up. You can actually see that this style of wreath does actually use quite a substantial amount of greenery. So yeah, make sure you've got quite a sufficient amount to use. And what I will also show you is another way to insert the foliage, because I'm literally binding this on. Everybody has their own ways of doing things. One of my colleagues actually glues all of her accessories onto the wreath once it's finished. I've always tended to wire all my accessories on. But again, it just goes to show that everybody has their own idea and their own way of doing things. So do share us all your ideas of how you create things as well. We love to hear what our viewers do. And we love to see pictures as well, don't we, Laura? We've got
Absolutely.
Love to see what you guys have created. It encourages us as well because it gives us, well, makes me have to sharpen my game up. And we get inspired by what you create as well, which is lovely, really lovely. So yeah. Right, so just gradually spinning this wreath round.
So just to let everyone know, whilst Debbie's continuing on with her wreath, it's looking fabulous. I love the mixed foliage that she's using. So we've had lots of exciting things go on this November. I can't believe we're mid-November now. It's getting closer and closer to Christmas time. So Debbie has mentioned about the videos. So for instance, step-by-step videos on how to moss a wreath, how to add spruce, how to wreath wrap. So all of those are actually available on our website. So they're under the how-to guide section, and it's the all about Christmas section. So you guys can find it very easily. We've also done lots of different styles of wreaths. We've done a nice modern eucalyptus one. We've done a quite different one, haven't we, Debs, with the Winter Wonderland, with that rattan wreath that we absolutely love this year. So we've done one with Gossypium, some beautiful oak leaf, frosted foliage. So yeah, very exciting. So go and have a look at our website just to see all of those videos. And also, we've been embracing...
You're going to talk moss. I can see it coming.
Moss.
I knew that was coming.
We've been embracing moss this month. Obviously, with it being wreath season, we absolutely love moss. Moss is flying out of our doors. But not just natural English moss. We've also got lots of different other types of moss. So we've done lots of how-to guides on how you can incorporate moss into your arrangement. So I know Jane did mention earlier, was it Jane? Let's have a look. She did mention earlier, she said she loved our table centre with moss. That was the garland that we did. Yep. So that's live now, and we've got lots of exciting ones coming up, so don't miss out on those.
And who knew there were so many different types of moss? I got introduced into fresh tillandsia this time. Oh, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, so we all have our little quirks. I'm definitely going on to the moss side. So yeah,
it just works everywhere, doesn't it?
It does. Just only thing I would say that's a negative about it is it does cause mess.
Yeah, if you're quite a clean, neat person, probably not moss.
No,
preserved moss.
Yeah.
Right, we've got a question, so stop me ranting on. You know what I'm like. So, how far in advance could I buy the greenery and moss before I start making my wreaths? I'm going to switch it to your face, Deb, so it's actually talking.
Okay, so to be honest with you, you could have mossed up already. You can moss up your rings even 2 months in advance of needing them, really, as long as you keep them wet. So store them somewhere frost-free, because believe me, this is the voice of experience. There's nothing more difficult than trying to wire into a frozen mossed ring. Nearly impossible. I can remember having mossed rings sitting on radiators trying to defrost so that we could work on them before. So yeah, make sure you keep them nice and wet, nice and moist, but keep them frost-free. And then I would start to, potentially if you want to have the wreath up on your front door, a week before Christmas, then I would say you can start putting the greenery on sort of 10 days before, really. That should be absolutely fine. But having said that, if you're using the evergreens, you could start putting the foliage on end of November, beginning of December. That wouldn't be a problem at all. So again, keep them wet, keep them stored somewhere suitable. So yeah, something you can all be getting on with.
Perfect.
Invite your friends round. Have a moss making evening. It's such good fun, isn't it, Laura? It's so good to see what everybody creates.
It is. It's such a lovely time of year because you've got your social gatherings, haven't you? You've got wreath making workshops. You've got loads going on. So Christmas fairs and markets and if you've got a family even coming down and you don't know what to do with them and they're coming down early, get them making wreaths.
Get them making decorations ready for your
making
Christmas
a wreath
table.
for your door.
Yeah, exactly. Let them do the work. You're feeding them.
I love it.
So we're nearly there with the foliage.
So Laura, just to say, Laura Ladd's just asked a question. The wreath packages are actually available on our website. They're under the Christmas Essentials on the website, so go and have a look now. And then also we've got a question from Joanna Debs, who says, what is a preserved moss ring, please?
Shall I, if you excuse me a second, I'll just pick one up. Oh,
here's one I found earlier.
Here's one. It's in Blue Peter style. Here's one I made earlier. So it's actually straw, and then the moss is a dried moss, and it's been bound onto the straw. Having said that, so it's perfectly suitable to use dried products on, and it will stay in that dry form if you leave it that way. However, moss will actually soak up, I can't remember what percentage of its total weight in water, but if you were to actually lay this in a bath of water and soak it, it would actually revive and become wet again. So then you can use it for your fresh foliage.
You can also buy the fresh moss rings on the website as well if you wanted to go for that alternative as well.
I'll be honest with you, the fresh moss ring, well, easy for you to say, the fresh moss rings even, in my opinion, if you're doing outdoor work, are a better buy than the dried ones, because that's what they are actually designed for. So.
Right, so I missed Lucy's question at the start. I do apologise, we've got loads of questions today, it's very exciting. She said, because you've used it on a wire frame, can you reuse the wire frame?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, definitely. Yeah, so when it's looking very tired and very crispy, all of the foliage that you've used can go into your green composter. Your string I probably would put into your general composting, general household, not compost, sorry. And then the wire can literally, be dried and put away and used again next year. So so I suppose in a way that is eco-friendly really, isn't it? Because you're using it year after year after year.
You're using it again.
Yeah, so I guess it is really. I hadn't thought of it that way, but yeah, it is.
So we've got a question from Rachel, just bear with me, it's quite long. So hi, it's a quick question, she says. I would like to add pheasant feathers to my wreaths this year, but can't get them to curl round and follow the shape round without tying them down and spoiling the shape. Do you know how to bend the feathers? Or?
So what I've done, I think I may have a stray feather here somewhere. Have I got a stray feather? Ooh, don't know if I have now. No, they've gone. Okay, so wire the end that's come out of the bird, for want of a better word. So do a double leg mount, pop that into your wreath, bring the ends of the wires back so it's nice and secure. Then bend it into the wreath so it follows the shape, and then just put a tiny little wire on the end and then tuck that in so it kind of holds it in that position. You don't get the spiky end piece of the feather, unfortunately, but it will give you the curvature that you need.
I will just butt in there as well, Rachel, because we have got, so I was talking earlier about the other demonstrations that we've done in the how-to category for the All About Christmas. If you have a look in the Eucalyptus wreath one, we do actually use pheasant feathers and we do create a curl, so it is well worth just having a look because Debbie does literally do that. So right, we've got loads of questions. We've got Deborah who asked about the 10 kilogram sack of spruce. So I would say as per the description on the website, it would probably do about 12 to 15 10-inch wreaths. But yeah, that would be absolutely perfect. As Debbie said earlier, there's little wastage in the bag itself just because you don't have the big wooden branches really in the centre.
I'm just going to show you in a few moments how those big branches, I'll show you exactly what you can do with those if you actually do have to use one on your wreath. I'm just tucking this in.
We've got Lynn from Norfolk who says, really enjoy your demos. We'll need advice next year for her son's wedding. Oh. Very exciting.
Give us a
I'm
call,
sure there's
Lynn.
lots of planning. And then we've got Jane who asked the question, when is the best time to buy carpet moss for Christmas table? Sure. Or is it okay to buy it now if I remember to water it?
No, I would get it nearer the time. It is if it's literally going on your table, then you want it as pristine as possible. So I'd leave it to the last possible minute if I were you.
What, to actually buy it?
Buy it, yeah.
What if she keeps it?
Yeah, you can
outside?
keep it, but the problem is, as it gets watered on, all the residue pieces will actually filter down through to the bottom of the moss, and the bottom, whereas you normally get 3 to 4 layers. If it keeps being rained on, then all that debris,
yeah.
Thank you for that, all the debris is going to go down to the bottom 2 layers, and then I wouldn't say they'll be unusable, but they won't be as beautifully pristine as they would be if they were freshly harvested. So I'd leave it until the last moment if you can.
If you wanted to as such buy it in advance, you could always split the layers, but then again, like you say,
that's true. Yeah.
If the dogs don't nick and attack it, so I probably wouldn't then, Jane. If you can't lay it out, then.
Right, so I'm just going to turn this over just to show you how I'm going to finish it. I'm just threading that through the metal.
Oh, no, I can't see.
Oh.
No, don't worry.
Can you see there? Just poking it through the, whoop, there we go. And just creating a double knot. And then you can actually, if you want to, use that. If you tie that end in, you can actually use that as a hook to hook it onto your door. I'm going to leave it like that for now. Okay, so just as I was explaining to you, there are different ways to add the foliage in. I don't know if you can see, but I've, on purpose, actually left a natural gap there. Can you see that?
Yep.
So there's a natural gap, so excellent. So I'm just going to show you how you can add other foliage in if you find that it's not as aesthetically pleasing as you'd like. You've got gaps, or you've got long branches like this. I'll show you how you can combat that. I'm just going to add a little mixed group of foliage here. I'm sure I had a little piece of euc, but that doesn't really matter.
Jane says she loves it already without adding any bits.
Thank you. I have to say, actually, I am very fond of mixed foliage wreaths. I think they look lovely. And adding a little bit of variegation to this would have been nice as well.
Just down a bit, please.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
So I've just wired that, and then all you need to do is where you've got your natural gap, I turn it around this side. Is that all right, Laura? Can you see okay? Nope.
Yeah, we'll have to do it on the large screen.
Yeah. Go that one?
Yeah.
So pop the wires into the wreath, and then where they've come out, you just fold them back on themselves, like so, and then that's filled your gap. So no longer do you have that space. And then this long stick here, for want of a better word, if you just make yourself a hairpin, like so, yeah,
yep,
and then just hook that through that long stick, or long stem, and exactly the same principle, push it through, so it pushes that stem to where you want it, which is actually a very similar way of attaching the feathers. The young lady that spoke earlier, and then push those in. And there you have it. There you have your wreath in foliage. I'm just going to get rid of my foliage and then I'll show you how to decorate it. Okay, so I'm going to make a nice bow. I'll put that in first. So this is one of the lovely Christmas ribbons that we've got. Obviously you can choose whatever you fancy. I've chosen this one because I rather like the green and the gold. And I'm literally just doing what we call a figure 8 bow. So just making that loop and then twisting it.
It's quite nice, this ribbon as well, because it's wide, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's fabric as well, which is lovely.
What other ribbons could you use?
You could use Hessian ribbon would work well. You could even do a raffia bow. You can do a satin bow or a velvet bow. Or if it's going outside, potentially on a grave or something like that as a memorial design, then I'd probably use one of the waterproof ribbons, so the Floristry polypropylene ones, but probably not for the door. And then I'm just going to give it a couple of tails. So cut that.
So I know you're using your carbon scissors, Debs, but would you use ribbon scissors?
Yeah, you should do, really. I'm afraid my poor scissors come in for an absolute hellish time. They get used for everything. They get used for wires, they get used for stems, ribbon, and then I moan when they won't cut ribbon properly. So yeah, don't do as I do.
Do as I tell you.
Be good people and use ribbon scissors for your ribbons, wire cutters for your wires, and keep your scissors for your floristry.
So with what you've just done, have you literally just looped your green stub wire around and then twisted?
Oh, sorry, yeah, I didn't explain
That's okay.
that. Yeah, but the twisted binding point that I made, I just looped the wire around that, then twisted the two ends together to give you a double, kind of like a double leg mount almost. Then I'm just going to thread that through the wreath and pull it through the other side. And if I twist this round, and you can see, just push the two wires in to the moss, and then this is really, really sturdy and stable. You're not going to be losing that ribbon anytime soon. And then you can have a little play with how you want your loops to look. That looks better, doesn't it? I'll turn that around so you can see it.
Beautiful.
And then it's just a case of decorating. So I've wired up some cotton, got some little gold berries here. So all I'm going to do with those, if I can actually get them untangled, I think they're put there never to come apart again. Come on, you. Okay, so scissors are going to cut that for me. And then I'm just going to pick those up in little groups. So I'm just going to use 4. You don't need a huge amount of stem of wire for this, or length of wire. So literally bend the wire into a hairpin and then just twist the berries round. That's all there is to it.
Right, just do that again, Debs, just because I'm going to do a close-up.
No worries. So
there we are.
I've got a group of 4, so 8 berries in total. Hairpin on your wire. So put that through the centre of your berries, bring the berries together, and then just literally twist them back on themselves. Really, really, really simple. Okay, I'll do a couple more.
What gauge of wire are we using, Debbie?
This is a 90 by 300. 0.90 millimetre by 300 millimetre wire.
Perfect. What I will do as well, Lani, I will put in all of the ingredients into the post once we've finished, so you won't have to, you'll find all the links in the top. Oh, we've got Jane and also Joan who said, I would love, love, love to do a day or even a week's workshop with you. We'd pay good money for it.
Oh, we'd love to have you.
Yeah, definitely.
Watch this space.
Or like a week one. Maybe we could go somewhere hot and maybe teach you all.
Oh yeah. I don't know whether the triangle budget would actually stretch to us. A week in the Caribbean learning about exotic flowers, that sounds like a plan.
Definitely.
Yes. Not sure we'll get the go ahead for that one, Laura.
Jane definitely says I would love a mini holiday.
Yeah. Especially after the cold winter and all the wreath making.
That actually leads us on to talk, Debbie. We haven't spoken about what we did last week.
Oh, absolutely. I can't believe it was a week ago.
I know.
Oh. So we were so lucky. We were invited to go and visit our suppliers in Holland, and we were shown around the auctions, and we went to a tulip grower, and we also had a look around the warehouse where our suppliers send all of our flowers from. It was so inspiring, I have to say. And then I guess the finale was we were treated to the show, the Ellesmere show, which was phenomenal. All the inspiration that we got.
Lots of inspiration for you all to.
So keep watching, because I'm itching to have a play with some of the designs that I've seen. So I'm just going to pop the wired cones in. Now I have actually sprayed these with a little bit of snow, trying to be very festive. I actually got told off today for singing It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas. I was told that I'm not allowed to say that now until December the 1st.
Jane, yes, that is correct. They do go around on bikes because Ellesmere is so big that they wouldn't get anywhere if they walked. So they do have to go around on bikes.
And they have these little trolleys, don't they? That
automated, yeah.
That automatically take the trolleys of flowers around. And the chap that was actually taking us around on the tour said, if you've ever been to Tokyo or anywhere where the traffic is a nightmare, believe me, it's nothing compared to the traffic in the auction house with all the trolleys going and the buggies going around. And absolutely, he was 100% right, wasn't he, Laura?
Absolutely.
I don't know how they know where they're going.
It's organised chaos.
And how on earth they don't have accidents, I have no idea.
Probably got good drivers. Probably speaks for our driving.
Could be. So I'm just popping these in and around. I'm going to do some gold now. Pop some gold berries. You can see I'm not really sticking to a pattern as such. I'm just building it up as I go along, really, for want of a better word. And all I'm doing is wiring into the ring and then bringing stems back. Now, if this is going on to a highly polished front door, you might want to consider wreath wrapping it when you've finished, just so none of the wires, not that they should be exposed because we're bending them back into the, I lost my wire on that one, because we're bending them back into the moss frame, so they shouldn't really be exposed, but just in case you've got a rather nice door that you don't want to be damaged, then you might want to wreath wrap the back. That makes sense.
It does to me. But who knows?
Right, so we're nearly there. I'll just add some more berries. So as I said, I'm not particularly creating a pattern as such. A bit of a random design really. But, oh, this pine smells lovely. It's a shame you haven't got smelly vision. It does smell lovely. Okay, so threading that back in.
So you've got Jane who asks, how did you actually wire the pine cones?
Oh, right, so that's really easy. And actually, I do think some of the cones that we're sending out at the moment are pre-wired. Is that right? Is that my understanding? I think some of them are. But it's so easy. It's just, I don't know if I've got one that's not got pre-wired on it. Bear with me.
As Debbie disappears.
As I disappear under my desk.
I don't think we do.
I don't think we do either, sorry. Okay, so if I unwire one, well, actually, probably don't need to. You literally take the wire around the base of the cone, like so, and then twist the two ends together, and then you have that nice long wire. Okay, again, I think that's one of the...
Yeah, as I say, we have done a lot of videos on creating Christmas wreaths, and on one of them specifically is stage 3, I would say. We look at doing how to decorate your wreath, and we do actually wire a pine cone as well as lots of other things as well, so it would be worth a look. And I'll also just post it in the top as well, so it's a direct link for you all.
I actually think we wire up the cinnamon sticks on one of those as well, don't we?
I believe so, with lots of different things. We got Chris, he says, love watching your videos. This one is fab.
Thank you.
And lots of Christmas tree emojis, feeling very festive. And we've also got a question from Joan who asks, would there be a more natural type wreath?
A more natural type?
Would you say using like the vine wreaths?
Yeah, you could do that. So we do stock natural vine wreaths, but I guess from a natural point of view, everything, all the foliage on here is kind of natural. I probably would avoid the ribbon if you want to keep it natural, but the cones are natural. Everything on here is natural except for the berries, really. So you could actually, instead of using artificial berries, if you want to include a kind of berry, you could actually buy the ilex berries and wire those in. They come in long strands, but you could cut them in half if you wanted to. So there's those that you could include.
That's one question I did actually miss earlier, Deb, so I do apologise, Joanna. She did say, would there be any fresh berries that would work on this wreath?
Yep, so you could use Hypericum. You could also use the natural ilex. And actually we get ilex in the red, and we get them in the sort of goldy yellow colour as well, so depending on what your colour scheme is. I think we're a bit late now for Symphocarpus, but there's also the steel berries, the viburnum berries. They would work quite nicely.
Yeah, that really nice dark colour tone.
Yeah, and then also you've got the berries of the Eucalyptus populus.
Yeah.
They would work quite nicely as well. So yeah, there's definitely options in the fresh berry department, for want of a better word.
You could also, it's steered away from the natural, but there's also pepper berries that are available. They are much more fragile, but they do work really nicely on the wreath. We actually included it in our Winter Wonderland wreath on our website that looked really lovely in the champagne colour tone.
Yeah, that was really pretty.
So yeah.
But they, as Laura has said, they are really delicate, so just be a little bit cautious when you wire them up.
We actually used the hot glue gun, didn't we, on the rattan wreath?
We did.
Perfect.
Right, so just popping that last piece of cotton in there. Sorry, brain went dead then. One more piece of gold. So
we've got Beverly. Haven't seen Beverly before. Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi,
she says,
Beverly,
looking
welcome.
great, and thanks for the demo.
Very welcome. Thank you for joining us. Right, so Laura, I think we're there. Have I got any more gaps and spaces that I need something in?
Let's go overhead.
Okay, let me turn this round.
Yeah, what sort of video?
Oh, yeah, I could probably do with another piece of... Ooh, that's better. Okay, so there we have our door wreath. Can you see that okay, Laura?
Yeah.
Excellent. And I can hide behind it.
So just to interrupt you quickly, Debs, we just have a question from Joan. Yes, Joan, as I mentioned earlier, the third step-by-step video that we've done on decorating a wreath, we did the bow, and we've also done one on the eucalyptus wreath. So well worth just having a look at our All About Christmas section, so you can see all of the videos, including how to make, how to wire, how to do all the stages, etc. So yeah, off you go, Debs.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to share us and like us. And do please go to our YouTube channel. As Laura was saying, it's Christmas on our YouTube channel. Don't forget, November is actually our moss month. So go and see loads and loads of different designs of what you can do with moss. And I say, who would have believed there are so many types of moss? It's been an education for me, I have to say. And for being someone that was a little bit about moss, I now absolutely love it. I've embraced it. So yeah, don't forget All About Christmas. Go and see our website. See lots and lots of bits and pieces to create your own wreaths and just enjoy, really. It's that time of the year where everybody can have a go. So yeah, don't forget, as I say, to like us, share us with your friends, family and flower clubs and groups that you belong to. And don't forget to keep those questions and comments coming, because we love to hear what you think, love to see your pictures, and have a safe and lovely weekend, and we look forward to welcoming you back again next Friday. Thanks for joining us. Bye for now.
Bye.